China just checkmated the United States, not with advanced weapons, but by taking what America loves the most, money. You see, for decades, the US made billions selling its so-called advanced fighter jets to half the world. But that era might be ending, because China has built a fighter designed for one mission only, to destroy America's monopoly in the global defense market. So what is this jet? And how does it stack up against its American rivals? That's what we're about to discuss. But remember, we can't always share our full, uncensored opinions here on YouTube without risking removal. So if you want the real talk, head over to our Telegram channel. Links in the description. What's the biggest lie American media keeps repeating about its military? That the US has always led in military innovation. Let me show you how wrong that is. Back in the late 1980s, the United States and the Soviet Union were in a fierce race to build the world's first fifth-generation fighter. America created the F-22 Raptor, and the Soviets developed the Su-47 Berkut. Both jets took their first flights in 1997. But after the Soviet collapse in 1991, Russia's program, which had started strong, slowed down because of deep economic struggles. Many aviation experts believe the Su-47 actually outperformed the F-22 in agility and innovation, thanks to its revolutionary forward-swept wing design. So why am I telling you this? Because the truth is, the Soviets, and later the Russians, often built better fighters than the Americans. But without a strong economy, they couldn't mass-produce or refine their designs like the US did. And here's where China enters the story. Beijing studied all of this carefully. They understood that true military power doesn't just come from technology. It comes from a strong, stable economy. Today, China has already surpassed the US economically. Just look at Washington's $36 trillion of debt, while China is now sanctioning American companies over earth mineral exports. Economically and strategically, it's game over for the US. Yet America still pins its hopes on selling more F-35s. The same fighter jet that even Americans mock and call Fat Amy. The same F-35 that was reportedly shot down multiple times by Iran. The same jet infamous for software bugs, spare part shortages, and a ridiculous price tag. And that's exactly where China steps in, with its cutting-edge J-35. It's cheaper, tougher, and with its twin-engine design, far more reliable. Even Donald Trump once complained, "I want a two-engine F-35. Well, Mr. Trump, maybe just buy one from China. It's better, and it's cheaper. But jokes aside, what really makes the J-35 superior to the F-35? Let's find out. What's the phrase American media loves to repeat when talking about their fighter jets? Battle-tested, designed by decades of experience from the world's most advanced aerospace industry. But here's the twist. Even though China doesn't have that century-long history of building and exporting fighter jets, somehow it's now making better ones. Let's look at the facts. The F-35 has a combat range of about 1,000 kilometers, while China's J-35 stretches that to 1,200 kilometers. The F-35 can carry 4 missiles in its internal weapons bay, but the J-35 can carry 6 PL-15 missiles, each with a range of 300 kilometers. That's 180 kilometers more than America's AIM-120, which maxes out at just 120 kilometers. In terms of speed, the F-35 tops out at Mach 1.6, while the J-35 can push to Mach 2. Faster, leaner, and deadlier. And here's the punchline. You'd expect the American jet to be cheaper, right? Wrong. The F-35 costs between $80 to $100 million, depending on the variant. Meanwhile, the J-35 goes for $50 to $70 million, a roughly $30 million discount with better performance and reliability. That's not just competition, that's a direct hit on America's defense sales. For decades, the US mocked Chinese products as low quality or cheap copies. But today, the whole world is laughing at that old claim. Because modern Chinese weapons aren't just cheaper, they're winning. So what changed? What happened in recent years that flipped the script? To understand that, remember, the US constantly runs war games to test and keep its forces battle-ready. But one of those war games didn't go as planned. In a recent joint exercise, a French Rafale shot down an American F-35. That alone proved two things. First, the F-35 isn't as stealthy as Washington claims, and second, it's practically useless in close-range dogfights. But it gets even more embarrassing. That same French Rafale, the one that took out the F-35, was itself destroyed by a Pakistani J-10C during the last conflict with India. So if a J-10C, a cheaper, older Chinese fighter, can take down a Rafale that beat the F-35, then imagine what the far more advanced J-35 could do. But that raises one final question. What exactly makes jets like the J-10C, and especially the new J-35, so efficient and lethal on the battlefield? The last conflict between Pakistan and India proved one thing clearly. China's weapons are outperforming everything the West can throw at them, especially in the skies. But here's the key. China's advantage doesn't just come from its fighter jets. It comes from something far more powerful, the Chinese mind. China's engineers and military strategists are among the most brilliant on the planet, and they've put that brilliance to good use. When you look at America's fighters, stealth is the only real advantage they have left. But recent events showed that even that isn't as effective as they claim. Meanwhile, China always gives its jets multiple advantages that go beyond stealth. Take the J-35. It's equipped with the latest electronic warfare systems. To understand how powerful that is, look at Pakistan's J-10C, which uses the KG-600 jamming pod. Even though it's a mid-tier system, it was still strong enough to blind some of NATO's most advanced 4.5 generation fighters, including the French Rafale. Now imagine what the J-35 can do with its next generation jamming suite. I guess we'll have to wait for Pakistani pilots to show us. But here's the terrifying part. The J-35 systems are modular, meaning China can easily upgrade them over time with new technologies. That includes AI co-pilots, quantum radar, and quantum computers for real-time data processing. In other words, the J-35 isn't just a fighter jet, it's a flying army, capable of evolving with every generation of technology. And these aren't science fiction concepts. These are real projects China is actively developing right now. In many of these fields, especially quantum tech, China is already years ahead of the United States, which still has nothing comparable to show. But here's the irony. What truly scares America isn't the technology, it's the money. Because the moment nations stop buying American weapons, we already know how that story ends. Just remember the Soviet Union. Right now, countries are lining up to buy the J-10C from China, and once they get a taste, their next request is always the J-35. Iran, Egypt, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Azerbaijan, Colombia, Brazil, even Saudi Arabia, once a loyal American customer, is now ordering Chinese weapons. And this is only the beginning of the J-35 era. Once that jet enters full export mode, the rest of the world will rush toward China's defense market. And here's why. Unlike America, China doesn't force other nations to change who they are just to trade. It doesn't impose its rules or political agenda. It respects each country's dignity. That's why not only governments, but even entire nations are beginning to shift toward China. The only thing China still lacks is soft power, the influence of Hollywood, global media, and the platforms that shape public opinion. That's why so many try to paint China as the villain. But here, at Eastwind Brigade, we aim to show you the truth, the side of the story others are too afraid to tell. So if you support what we're doing, please like and subscribe. It's free for you, but it helps us more than you can imagine. And if you want our uncensored content, the kind we can't share here on YouTube, join us on Telegram. The link is in the description. As always, it's been an honor to have you with us. This is Eastwind Brigade, where our voices unite and we rise together.